but is he playing this smart? Some people are joking, saying he's using it like a game show, but is it effective?
Very smart, and he's been, the maxim is don't catch a falling knife, and he's been very quiet the last couple of weeks because, his negative has been that he's the chaos candidate. Well, the chaos has been all on the Biden side of the equation. And as far as his VP pick goes, he has time. And not only does he have time, but he should wait and see what happens with Biden. If something happens before the Republican convention, if it were switched out for some reason, I think that would change his equation and his consideration for his VP selection. Because if it's Harris or somebody else on the Democratic ticket, particularly a woman-led candidate, a woman-led ticket, then I think Trump might change his mind about who would be on the ticket. So Trump has time. I think he should wait. And I think he has a strategic option of holding out until the last possible second.
Well, look, Donald Trump and his team obviously know how to use media. How much of this do you think is really tied to Joe Biden's troubles? And what I'm trying to figure out is, so help me with this, Mark, why do you delay to see what happens with Joe Biden? Is it really going to make a difference to who he ultimately decides to choose?
Oh, I think it could. Sure. Why not? I mean, if the ticket were, for example, Harris Whitmer, if I were Donald Trump, I'd put Elise Stefanik on the ticket, or I'd find a woman to put on the ticket. Where Republicans and Trump are vulnerable are particularly with suburban women on the issue of abortion. So why not put a woman on the ticket if the Democrats are going to have two women? So he's got nothing but time. But the other thing is that Trump likes the drama. He likes the drama of unfolding it. And all the drama right now is on the Biden side, but in a bad way for Biden. So Trump's got to let that play out. And he wants to do it at a perfect time when he has strategic leverage and the perfect time to make as much news as he can. And right now, Biden's making all the news. And again, he's making news in a way that's good for Trump.
Mark made a good point, Garrett, about the discipline that this campaign is showing. Now, we've seen that in campaigns past. They never lasted very long. How different is this campaign staff, and how different is Donald Trump?
Well, the campaign staff is smaller and more professional, and they've shown that across the campaign that they've run thus far. Donald Trump, however, is still the same Donald Trump. And I think your point about discipline for short periods of time is the important one here, because he's shown that in the past as well. When he understands the strategic imperative to be disciplined in the moment, he has been able to do so. But he has never been able to sustain that for long periods of time across either campaigning or governing. And I don't think we should expect anything different now. That said, next week is the convention, and Mark and other campaign professionals will tell you when you're running a presidential campaign, you basically get 3 shots to really control the narrative: your announcement, your VP pick, your convention, specifically your convention speech. Donald Trump's going to cram 2 of those moments into the next week. So I think he and his campaign are going to try very hard to extend that discipline streak at least another week.
However disciplined they are, Mark, could it be overshadowed by what's happening on the Democratic side?
Well, it could be. And again, I think that's why it's smart for Trump to wait, because depending on what the outcome is, if it's Biden, that's one option. If it's Harris-led ticket or some other option, then I think that Trump will have a different card to play. So everything in Trump's hands says wait. I mean, strategically, all the options are better for him to just wait until the convention. Garrett made a great point about all the focus being then and there, and that's the best time to unfold whoever his candidate is, and by that time, they may know what's going on with Biden.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.